clearing yourself and searching again within for the answers that you seek, right? All right. Why? Why are we instructed to look within, right? A lot of different reasons. First of all, this is going to touch a little bit more on the Akash, right? I did videos in the past speaking about the Akash. Most folks are more familiar with the term Akashic record, right? But the Akashic record is only a part of the Akash. As I explained before, the Akashic record is a record of all things dealing with, pertaining to, and that have happened, transpired here on this planet. And of course, all your combined lifetimes worth of experiences, the grand collage, right? Here on this planet. And that's a wealth of information, of lessons from which to learn and grow, right? But that's not the entirety of the Akash. The Akash is not only the record, but the Akash also embodies within it all of the possibilities and the infinite number of outcomes that are associated with them. So I guess a simplified way to explain this is that each of your choices leads to an outcome. That path, from the moment, the instance that you make that decision, the path from that decision to the outcome becomes a timeline, right? A thread. And those threads formulate, represent, or are all the possibilities. All right, peace, love, respect, bro. All right, my brother. Some of the good brothers. Have a good one, fam. Hey, man, another beautiful day. Peace, love, respect, my man. Right there, buddy. So yeah, and folks, you know, you're gonna hear King Sadiq getting some love from the people pretty much wherever I go, because I love everybody. It's not difficult to recognize true unconditional love, right? Human beings recognize that, they feel it, and in most instances reciprocate. Okay, but I don't want to get off topic. Back to the Akash. So, again, not only the Akashic record, but the Akash embodies and contains all of the possibilities, right? The perhaps infinite number of choices that you can make spun off of any particular situation and the outcomes that accompany it. Well, take a moment and just picture what that looks like, right? You make a decision, you set into motion a series of happenings, a series of consequences, a series of outcomes, things that transpire as a result, either completely or partially, directly or indirectly, of your decision. Now, when I say that, I'm walking down. I'll pause for a moment because now I'm walking down one of my son's dogs, Zeus, my little buddy. I walk him from time to time. Oh man, I love this right here. This is honeysuckle. I don't know if you all are familiar with this or not. Oh my goodness. When it grows wild like that, it just smells fantastic. When I was young, we would always pick them, and I wouldn't do it now, but if you pull the little stem out, it's sweet. But anyway, as I walk down here, Zeus would be mad for me not having him with me. Anyway, a timeline, again, is the collage, the combination. I wouldn't say collage, that's not the right word, because timelines are far more linear than that. A decision has impact, right? I stated many times before that, particularly as human beings, we have far more impact on existence than we realize, right? We're always sending out output to the universe to dictate to the universe what is what, right? What we are manifesting. Now, the problem, not problem, but the thing we need to be aware of about that is that we have two different modes in which we do that as human beings. We do it consciously, and we do it subconsciously or unconsciously. Not unconsciously, subconsciously. And we need to be aware of that, right? Now, what we also have to keep in mind. What's up, brother? Peace, love, respect, man. Have a great day. Thank you. What we also have to be aware of and keep in mind in terms of putting together or framing mentally, I guess, the totality of what a timeline is and how we create different timelines with our decisions. Okay. Get up in the morning. I wear contacts, right? Let's say I know I haven't taken my contacts out for a little while, perhaps past the recommended amount of time, and I do plan on not wearing contacts forever, by the way. King Sadiq got plans on healing. But anyway, you get up in the morning, you forget to clean your contacts and give your eyes a little bit of a break there, even though you know it's due, right? You carry on your day, and intermittently throughout the day, your eyes will exhibit, or your contacts, a little bit of haze, or a little film might come over them where they clearly need to be cleaned, maybe likely soaked in a little solution, right? In those instances, vision can be a little difficult. Okay, so anyway, you're going through your day and you're having several instances of these, not blockages of your vision, but the clarity of your vision is decreased temporarily. These two pretty hefty Rottweilers. Sorry, there's a lot of distractions in this little alley. These hefty Rottweilers that always have a little something to say to Zeus when I walk him through here. But anyway, sorry for all the distractions, folks. But it's early, and a lot of these things strike me as entertaining. So, you know, you go through the day having not taken care of something that you know you needed to, which was the cleansing and refreshing of your contacts, right? And it impacts you throughout the day. In fact, you know, you may turn a certain way quickly to see something, right? And not quite get a clear vision of it because your contacts are not properly cleaned and refreshed. There could be various different ways that this impacts your day, and the end result of those things may be that at the end of the day you realize there were a few things that you missed that you didn't necessarily want to miss. That's a timeline in a very simplified way. Maybe not the best example, but you started the timeline when you made the decision to not clean your eyes, and the impact of that decision, or the results or consequences that you had to deal with throughout the course of that day, and surmised in that day at the outcome that, hey, I've missed a few things today that I'd rather not have missed, even if they've just been a few small things. I've missed some things, right? And that's where that timeline took me. So, yeah, I'm sure you can come up with your own examples of how decisions lead to an outcome. And the path along the way essentially becomes a timeline spun off of that decision. Now, getting back to clarity and looking within, finally. We have to realize that as beings with the ability to impact timelines in the way that we do, to create different timelines and to view the Akash in its entirety, not just the record, but all the possibilities that come with it, right? We look within to sort of pick our way mentally through the Akash, right? We try to void our minds of any distractions at the time. Not like I just had several distractions, right? But we really try to aim our focus inward. So for me, I tend to close my eyes, remove visual distractions. If possible, get to a quiet, solemn place to avoid any audible distractions. And I get comfortable physically and attempt to avoid any physical distractions. Whereas my focus is completely on the subject that I'm searching answers for. Now, there are a lot of breathing techniques. There are mantras and all sorts of different ways of opening a meditation session, right? Yoga is littered with ways. Littered is probably not the best word, but it's packed with different ways of getting into a good state to begin meditating, right? And how to maintain focus throughout. But the main thing is that you're making your focus become singular, right? On whatever that particular subject is that you are so focused on and searching answers for. Now, after all that talking, let me get a little bit to the crux of the science behind it, the metaphysics behind it, right? So, when you look within, you're attempting to pick your way through the Akashic, right? You're searching for answers. You want to gain in your level of understanding. How are you actually doing that? So, if you're looking for answers, you're looking for information, right? Typically, we are accustomed as human beings to search for information in our brains, right? Which, your brain is certainly capable of accessing a great deal of information, the most powerful supercomputer, period, right? And what all these computers are actually modeled after is the human brain. However, there are sources of information that your brain does not, cannot, and will not unlock, which is the information contained in your DNA, for example. Okay? That is direct information. What do you mean by that, King Sadiq? Well, I have spoken in videos previously about our cells, right? The cells of our body, and how our cells are actually individually a lot more intelligent than we give them credit for. Particularly highly melanated cells, not having anything to do or not attempting to state this in a racist or exclusive way. Remember, all beings have melanin. There are some folks who have more and a higher grade of melanin than others. That's fact. But that's changing too. As the human race begins to become one. But melanin is the control center, so to speak, of your individual cells. And the means through which that intelligence is coordinated. Now, your cells have access to huge, huge banks of information. Where does that come from? That comes from your DNA. If you ask any honest scientist, they will tell you that light is the most powerful and efficient means of transmitting information. Just look around you, folks. Why do you think they came up with fiber optics? Okay? But they'll also tell you that DNA is the most complex storage mode, or the most complex means of storing information. The amount of information that is stored in your DNA is like unbelievable, right? Difficult to even fathom. And again, it is direct information directly to each cell. It does not need the brain to interpret that information before the cell is able to make use of it. Okay, so if you consider the previous parts of this video to have been a little bit chatty and and slow to get to the point, this right here is probably beginning to touch on the most important aspects of this video, right? Which is understanding how your Kosh works, how your DNA works, and how you access these vast sources of information to gain clarity on any subject that you choose. All right. So again, DNA contains direct information that does not need to be interpreted by the brain. In fact, it is very difficult, not impossible, but very difficult for your brain to interpret DNA coding or information. It's not designed that way. But I didn't say impossible. And certainly not impossible for you as a being to decode that DNA, right? To decode that information contained within the DNA. Now, how do you do that? Well, previous videos I also spoke about the fact that your heart and your stomach, to some degree, both have very similar cells to your brain, right? They both, similarly to your brain, also have very intricate and numerous neural attachments, right? Well, there's a reason for that, folks. Nothing happens for no reason, and certainly not within the human body. We are designed very specifically, very brilliantly, in fact, beyond comprehension in many ways, right? Your heart is much more apt and much more suited to decode the information from your DNA, right? Your heart is extremely complex and very powerful. Your heart actually gives off a more powerful electromagnetic field than your brain does. Check it out. I'll repeat that. Your heart actually gives off a much more powerful, or at least a more powerful electromagnetic field than your brain does. Okay? You have the ability to use your heart to feel your way through the Akashic, to actually absorb the information wholesale. Now, here's where it gets very tricky. That information is not laid out in linear terms the way the information is that you're used to processing with your brain. This information is holistic, right? An example of that would be, rather than to recount the moments of a lifetime, you would look at an entire lifetime holistically. You would view a lifetime in its entirety as one bit of information. This is why you're able to store, or why so much information is able to be stored in your DNA. So, you have to remember that when encoding this information. Now, this might be starting to sound a bit complex, but it is something that you have the ability to do, and do naturally, when you tap into something called your innate. Okay? The closest thing and the easiest way for me to describe what your innate is as a human being is the instincts that an animal has, right? The way a spider will know how to make complex, beautiful, geometrically intricate webbing without a mother spider necessarily having to sit there and teach the spider how to do it. It innately knows how to do it through instinct. And, we can go through the animal kingdom and talk about instinct forever. But that's the closest thing, or the thing most easily closely described with your innate is instinct. But when a human being begins to utilize their innate through the process of meditation, then you are able, if you are able to maintain your meditation and get to a deep enough level of meditation, you are able to begin to uncode, decode, however you want to term it, right? The information contained within your DNA. And you are able to tap further and further into your Akashic. All right? And this is what will give you clarity, great clarity, in fact, on any subject, anything you have questions about, have pause about, anything that you wonder about. If you meditate on it correctly, and I don't mean correctly as in per what someone else tells you, but correctly in terms of what you know through your innate, right? If you do that, you will gain clarity. You will gain clarity, and you will be able to unlock information that will have you astonished. You will start to wonder, how in the world do I know this about that? This is a subject that I have maybe heard of, but I never actually studied it. Or maybe you'll find yourself having information on subjects that you've never even pondered at all, right? But when you begin to unlock the information within your DNA. When you begin to look further and further and more accurately into your Akash with greater understanding, you will gain clarity. The best way to accomplish this, once again, is through the process of meditation. All right? It was a long video, longer than I thought. I set out to do a short video, but that's been happening as of late. We'll let it ride for now. All right? Thank you all. I love you all. Early in the day, worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq.